I saw him last night. They're leaving to Poland on Friday though, on that trip. So, okay, thank you again, everyone, for coming. So I actually had a big struggle tonight. I was debating how to run this class. Originally, I did not prepare PowerPoint, and I thought since this was a class of questions and answers, thank you everyone who gave in their questions. Some people are here that gave in, some people that are not here that gave in questions. Really, the entirety of the class is mostly maybe one or two I added. I can maybe tweak and put a couple things together of what was asked, but it's more or less what came from everyone here. So thank you for giving them in. And I was really debating whether it'd be better to just forget the PowerPoint and have like a group discussion about questions people have about God, or I should do a PowerPoint again. And I really didn't know the answer of what I should do. So yeah, I kind of in the end decided to do the PowerPoint, but I still hope that this is a discussion at the same time. And any of these questions that, whether you asked the question, someone else asked the question, probably came across this question or thought about the question at some point in time. So definitely, we're here to ask. There's one last part to this series that I was not able to include in this because it was more than the allotted time tonight. So I'm going to be doing it this Friday night at my Shabbos table. It's an awesome piece about God. And anyone who does not have yet Friday night plans is invited to come and join us for the last section. If you do, we'll kind of have to fill you in some other time. But everyone is invited to join us. We'll invite the other invitees. We'll have official God series reunion. Anyone's around. It's not limited to those that came. And let me know if you guys are available. But
room for 5 kids?
Yes. You want to come? There's always room for you. What's the question? Same for the whole next month. Okay. With that, I want to do a quick show and tell in case anyone's interested. There is a few books here that I found very helpful and interesting. If you're looking for more information on God, I want to show you 3 different books. There's one book here called If You Were God by Rabbi R.A. Kaplan. Show and tell. It's been a long time. No, when was the last time I had one of those? It's like kindergarten sitting on the ground, on the mat. Fantastic book. It's a little like deep and philosophical, but if you're interested, there's a lot of great ideas brought out in this. It's actually a combination of 3 essays, so obviously none of them are too long. That's a great book. Second book called Judaism in a Nutshell, God by Shimon Appersdorf. This is much more, I would say, basic, easy reading, another great idea. Lots of stuff I've said throughout the series have come from these. I don't know if I would notice certain things that are directly from them, certain things that are somewhat from them. This book also, the Exodus he almost passed over, is much obviously bigger. He really goes through a very novel approach to the whole Exodus, but part of that, a lot of the first class was taken from this book, and that's really explaining what the Jewish concept of God is and how it differs from like paganism and stuff. So another great resource, and obviously I'm always available to discuss if you want to discuss. I'm going to go through now, I think there was probably around 12 questions about God that people asked that we're going to go through quickly. Any of these questions, or most of these questions, could probably be an entire class in and of itself. So we're going to try to move through them relatively quickly. So if you want to talk about them more, we could definitely continue to talk about them more. Okay, right? You can leave that. Okay, so the base question is, I should have put like a milk mustache on it, but God questions, right? It's one of the toughest questions. Part of the concept is these are going to be hard questions, and we're not going to necessarily, tie, whatever the word is, dash every T, dot every I. We're not going to have perfect clarity of everything we come out of this, but I wanted to suggest tonight, explore some of the difficult questions and kind of gain a perspective on how we do view stuff. So I'm going to read the question that I have written down, and we'll go through the slides afterwards. And the first question that we'll go through is as follows. Why would God create the bad parts of the world? God is perfect. Did he not create them? Right? Meaning the basic question is, if God is perfect and God is good and God wants to do good, so why would God create such things as evil? Right? Doesn't make sense. What good is in it? I'll open the floor if anyone wants to tell. I'm happy to have this discussion. If anyone has a comment they want to throw out before I say it has a thought on the matter. Why would God, again, accepting the fact that there is a God, so why would evil exist?
This question, why did God create evil?
The question is, why does evil exist in the world? We're assuming it was created by God, because we assume everything was created by God. Nothing exists other than God. Like we said in the first class, God is the source of everything, so that means God is the source of evil also.
Right.
So first of all, does that contradict his perfection? That's I guess one question. And if not, then how does it? Why is it there? Michael, what do you say?
Yeah, I was just going to say, if God didn't create it, then why did He even allow it to exist?
Okay, if it allowed it from the outside of creation, right? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Great question. So, anyone, you want to say something on that?
I just think that, I don't know if God created, in terms of evil and, I guess, good ones from the human, yes. I mean, like, barring, like, natural disasters, was human intervention. So, clearly, we know God created the world with free choice, free will. So if someone did whatever the answer to that is, why can you do that? But he did that, and that allows for evil of human intervention to exist.
Okay.
So
why did he? So move the question over then.
Why did natural disasters of that kind of evil happen? When people do evil, it's a little bit easier to understand. God, it's part of God's free choice, and you can do what
Gods don't kill people, people kill people, right? Sounds like a member of the NRA right here. Gods don't kill people, people kill people.
Proud member.
Yeah, but okay, I like the question, right? The question is basically move the question over. So let's dissect what you said, and basically we'll answer your question also. But the real question is, to understand anything of why God does anything in the world, why does anything exist in the world, we have to really appreciate why is there a world, right? We're back to class 1. God doesn't need anything, so if He created the world, it wasn't for Himself. So what was the purpose of this? Why is He doing this? For what reason would He have done this? Why did God create the world? Right? Can't be for Him. So what must it be for?
For us.
Must be for us. Now, if God's creating the world for us, what's the greatest gift that God can give us in this world? So the greatest gift God can give us in this world is free choice, free will. Like Rabbi Moshe said. Why is that the greatest choice God can give us? So basically, through our free will, we're able to make moral decisions. We're able to be God-like, right? Because God can choose to destroy or build. God can choose to do whatever He wants. He can affect things however He wants. When people make decisions, that's our expression to either choose to become godly or choose to not become godly, right? If God created the world, let's take a step back again. God created the world to do the greatest good possible for us, because it's not for Him. If it's for us, what's the greatest good He could do for us? He can allow us, and this is really also a class in and of itself, but basically our relationship with God, the ability to create ourselves, rather than just being angels, which are just created and are just great and are just close to God. If we go through the struggle of something to develop that relationship, if we have to work to become close to God, then we own that. Like we've all experienced this in life, right? Whenever you work hard to get something done, you feel a certain ownership over this. If you just had it come to you, you use it, but you don't feel so connected to it. The more invested you are in it, the more you'll feel connected to it, the more you have ownership over it. So God wanted us to be the closest to God we could be. The closest we could be to God, to own that relationship, is for us to actually struggle, work through it, and become God-like. So in order for us to struggle and become God-like, we have to have the ability to make moral decisions. We have to have the ability to choose between good and evil. If the only thing that existed would be good, and evil didn't exist in the world, so then we wouldn't have a choice. So like I was saying, in order to enable free will, evil is in a sense a fascinating thing. If you look in the first chapter of Genesis, all the days it says He created something, and it was good. He created the land, it was good. He created the skies, it was good. He created the ground, it was good. Trees, vegetation, animals. There's only one time where it says it was very good. Tov me'od, is very good. And the sixth day at the end of creation says He created man, and it was very good. So asks the oral law, why was it very good? What was very good about man? And it's a fascinating thing. It says, what was very good about man was God created the evil inclination. That was very good. The question's obvious. The evil inclination, evil, whatever, the ability to choose wrong is very good. And the answer is yeah. Through the creation of, through the existence of evil, we're supposed to choose to not go the evil route and go the good route. That's our job. Our job is to make the right moral decisions. But if the other route wouldn't exist, then we would have no free choice. So the greatest good God can do is give us that free choice. And then I agree with Rabbi Moshe. The question is, who really kills people? Who starts war? Does God start war or does man start war? Well, in order for God to fulfill the purpose of his world, he needs evil to exist. Now, it's really on us then. Are we going to use this evil to beat it and to be there for each other and to develop a greater world and overcome that through that owning our relationship, owning our godliness, owning ourselves becoming great? Or are we going to, the other direction and take that power and evil and go with it in that direction? And that's really the question. Natural disasters is a fantastic question. It's going to be discussed Friday night. I hope everyone comes. That is very much on board with that whole part of the interaction. We already have, I guess, 700 all signed up after that question. If you want the quick gist, we could talk about it after class, but it's a very good question. So it's like this. In order for God to have the world as he wants it, evil has to exist. Evil is what we would call a necessary good. The ability, but what is the point of evil? Why did God create evil? Not because he wanted people to enact evil, because he wanted people to be greater than evil. Right? All of those heroes that have seen past and seen through the evil and become greater because of it, those people are all greater because of the existence of evil. Now you'll say, well, is that worth it? All of that evil in the world for those. So I guess the answer to that is yes, because God created the world with that background. But that's the basic of it. Question number 2. What was wrong with angels? Why did he create humans? Is God bored? So I think I want to set up this question a little bit differently. Well, not differently, but let's ask a question like this. We have an angel and we have a human. Who's greater? David says human. Everyone agree to that?
Depends which human, which angel.
Depends which human and which angel. Which angel's not so good?
Angel of death.
Okay. I hear that. Which human's not so good? No, just kidding. Okay. Yeah. Anyone else? Everyone agree to that? Avi says it depends. Some humans, some angels. Depends on who you're comparing. David says human. So I think the answer is, it depends, right? Meaning, what's an angel? Let's ask a question like this. What's the difference between an angel and an animal? What's the difference? What do I mean? Animals and angels don't have free choice. If you see a lion and it attacks a baby zebra and it kills baby zebra in front of the mother, we're not like, oh gosh, that disgusting lion, how did he do that? No, we're not. We feel bad for the mother zebra, but we're not like mad at the lion. Why not? Because the lion didn't make a moral decision. Should I kill it in front of the mother? Should I take it away? Should I scare the mother? There was no decision making here. The lion wanted food and it killed the zebra. So we understand that it's an instinct. It's not a decision. Angels are the same way. They're just spiritual, right? In a certain sense, angels and animals are really always robots. They just do whatever they're programmed to do. Animals have a certain instinct that they do, and angels are messengers of God, and God tells them to do something, and they do something. There's no real involvement in their part. They just do whatever they do. So is a human greater or less? So it's interesting. We find also in the beginning of Genesis that God actually went to the angels first and asked them permission before he created man. Why did God do this? Because God didn't want angels to be jealous of man. I'm going to create this being that's even greater than you. Right? Greater than the angels. So are we greater than angels or not? So I think the answer is David's right, Avi's right. No one said angels because I don't think that's right. So, depends how we use our free will, right? God gave us free will and he created evil and he created good in the world. And it's our job to create, to develop our decision-making abilities, to use our free will for good. If we use our free will for good and we choose the right moral decisions and we do good stuff, we're greater than angels. God has to ask the angels to create us. If we're bad and we just do evil and we just want power and don't care about other people and we don't care about the development of the world, we're the same as an animal. We're actually worse than animals because the animals just do it naturally. And we're wasting our potential that we have to be even greater. So who's greater? The answer is humans are greater. Humans have the potential to be the greatest. The purpose of the world, again, is for humans, for us to create this relationship, to work on ourselves, to develop this concept of being godly and having ownership over it. Wherever you look like you have a comment, Just enjoying the slide. Okay, fine.
Well, the question is, well, why were angels created?
Why were angels created? Angels are, the word angel, the word malach, is actually just another word you find it in general in Hebrew just to mean a messenger. God doesn't directly do stuff for whatever reason, and that's how he wants to work. So he has messengers that do stuff for him. Find when Jacob was being chased by, he was returning back to his father. It says Esau was coming to attack him. It says Jacob sent malachim to Esau, right? The word means messengers. Maybe it means angels, but it could mean messengers. The word malach just means a messenger. So angels are created just because God has stuff that he has to take care of in the world, and he does it through a process, or rather than being directly involved, he does it through a more indirect process of sending an angel to go do it for him. But they don't have any inherent purpose. We can't have a world for angels is pointless because angels aren't growing, they're not getting anywhere. They stagnate. They just are who they are. Next question. Any comments on that first? Any questions? I guess not a question. Okay. So the question's like this. We assume that God is perfect. Right? Okay, God is perfect. It wasn't a public question. We're assuming God is perfect. So if God is perfect and God created us, why did he make us imperfect? Why would he make us not perfect? And if he made us not perfect, what are his expectations of us? Does he have expectations of us to be perfect? Is that what we're supposed to be? So let's start off with that first question. I'm going to disagree with the presumption of this question. Again, if God is perfect, why did he make us imperfect? The question is, did God make us imperfect? So if you're implying in that since God is perfect, he has to, making us imperfect is a flaw. There's something problematic with that. So I want to suggest something very interesting. I want to suggest that God actually made us perfectly imperfect. Right? Meaning what? Meaning, he made us exactly how he wants us. So why did he want us like that is the question. Right? And this is all these questions I think are all really underlying on the same concept, so I bunched them all together. That these questions all are, the underlying factor is that God created the world for us. For us what? For evil to exist, for us to choose to become greater and bigger and better. And if we were already perfect, we would have no choices to make. We would just be perfect. So God made us imperfect. And I'll tell you a fascinating thing. We actually praise God for this imperfection. Whenever we make a blessing, we make blessings before foods and after foods. Whenever we make a blessing, hadama or shahakol, after a drink, we make an after blessing. The after blessing we say is borei nefashos rabos v'chesronam. And that means that he created a lot of souls and their lackings. And we're praising God. Thank you so much, God. You gave us our souls and everything that's bad about us. Right? And that's basically what we're saying. It sounds like a weird thing, but what? That's the whole concept. He gave us work to do. Kind of imagine in a professional setting, you're kind of in your cubicle and just doing your work day in, day out like you always do. And one day your boss is much higher and you always look up to him and you treat him respectfully. He comes over to you, puts his hand on your shoulder, and he says, John, I want to promote you, giving you a big job. It's going to be really hard for you, but I'm promoting you because I know you could do it. He didn't tell you, I'm going to give you the job, right? That's kind of what God is doing. God creates man. He puts his hand on man's shoulder, and he says, man, I'm giving you a job. You're not perfect, but what? But I want you to be my partner in creation. And that's really what it is. And one rabbi once said, I think this was, I forgot who said it, but he said that the world, we'll give a technology parable for all those high-tech people in the room. The world is the hardware, the Torah is the software, and at Mount Sinai, God handed over the mouse. Right? Meaning, the world is the hardware. That's what it is. That's what's there. Right? The software is how you use it, how to affect the world. That's the Torah. The Torah teaches how to properly interact with the world. And who's in control of that? That was what the giving of the Torah was. Gave the Jewish people the control of that thing. Now, the question is, what exactly are God's expectations? Like, God made us perfectly imperfect. He knew exactly how he made us. He wanted us to become really his partner in creation. And God's partner in creation means that we'll be greater because we're actually building the world. The world was made imperfectly. Man was made imperfectly. And through man going out to the world and building it up, we're actually going to make ourselves and the world greater. And we're going to have ownership over that. And through our making ourselves personally as great as we can, that's what allows us to do the best we can. So the question is, does God really expect that from us? What does God expect that from us? Right? Expectations are scary because all of a sudden there's all this stuff on top of us. And the answer is like this. Does God expect us to be perfect? God doesn't expect us to be perfect. He knows who He created, right? He created us perfectly imperfect. But there's a goal for us to get to. And the question is, are we trying to get to that goal or not? Are we going to say, I'm never going to be like, whatever, fill in the blank, whoever that is in your life, that's that unbelievably great person, whatever it could be in whatever area of life it is, right? I'm never going to be that person. So is anything worth it? And the answer is, of course. Because the expectations are personalized. And this is why there's a concept in Judaism of being dan l'kaf zechu. You should judge people favorably, right? It's a fascinating passage in the Talmud. It says that a person went to heaven and he said he saw olam hafach ha'iseh, saw an upside down world. So the classic commentators all explain what does it mean an upside down world. In this world, people that have power and people that are on top of the world, it seems like. In the next world, their power is insignificant. Whoever was a good person, even if they didn't seem significant in this world, is significant in the next world. But the Maratchias has a very interesting take on it. He says different. He says, no, it's not. He said, that's not an upside down world. When you go to the next world, what do you expect to see? You would expect to see the righteous small people on top of that world and the powerful bad people on the bottom. That's not upside down. That would be normal to us in the next world. He said, you know what's an upside down world? He said, you're expecting to see all of the biggest rabbis and the greatest people on top of that world. Says the Maratchias, you're not going to see that. You're going to see on top of that world? A simple Jew who did a few kind acts. He says, why? Why would the Talmud say that? He said, because we have no clue what we're able to do. Or it's a personal question. How great can I be is a question about me that has absolutely nothing to do with how great you could be. Each person has their unique role of how much can I develop myself in becoming a godly person and helping my spouse and helping my community and helping my city and helping the Jews and helping the world and developing everything. Each person has their unique role in that. And what does God want us to do? Whatever we're capable of doing. There's an amazing concept on Rosh Hashanah. What's the judgment of Rosh Hashanah? Jonas and David said a beautiful thing. What's the concept that God has a quintessential you? He has a paradigm of you of the ideal you, each person. There's the ideal Moshe Siegel. And there's this mirror painting, whatever it is in heaven, that's like the ideal Moshe Siegel. What does God do on Rosh Hashanah? He picks up Moshe Siegel from this world and he holds the two next to each other. Says, okay, let's see. And you compare those two, right? It's not, did Moshe Siegel become the greatest rabbi this year? I don't know, that's irrelevant. I don't know, was he able to be? Maybe yeah, maybe not. Right? But what is it? You compare you to yourself. And the question is, how great can we become? Does God expect us to be perfect? No. Well, what does perfect mean? We each have our level of perfection that we can get to. I throw out an interesting question. Let's say you have a person who is born, everyone's born with certain natural tendencies. Let's say somebody who's born with a natural tendency to be a mass murderer. This person struggles with his whole life and he tries really hard to be a good person. At the end of his life, he only killed one person. Does he go to heaven or hell? Okay, heaven. I like it. I'm opening the floor. Everyone silence agree?
Yeah, I think. Well, if you're saying that everyone's held to their own standard, then if he could have potentially, killed hundreds of people or something like that, and he worked really hard and only killed one person, then we're saying, even though that was terrible and bad, it could have been much worse. So he worked throughout his entire life to really keep this horrible inclination in check. I don't know. So
Or he was in that very prison his whole life.
there we go.
Let's say he wasn't. Let's say he was free the whole time.
Was he the one person?
No, he didn't. He did not kill himself, no. I made up a scenario, so it could be anything else. I'm just asking. It's a theoretical question. Say, what would you think? Would you think this person deserves heaven? Play God for a second, right? You're judging this guy. So what do you think he deserves? If he says say it louder, right? Go to... She's never said that to you before, you should know. So you hear the question, right? And the answer is we don't really know. I mean, it's hard for us to make decisions. We don't really understand. But 2 points in this. First of all, we understand. We all at least hear that side. Like, I guess how could, no deed should go unnoticed, but at the same time, we kind of all recognize, he had a real struggle there. And he seemed to pass pretty well. He definitely deserves some level of heaven for it, right? So, first of all, this is the Jewish concept of being down the kastas, of judging people favorably, right? I mean, do you guys realize you just found a guy who killed someone else and all said he should go to heaven? Like, do you realize what just happened? But where does that come from? Why are we supposed to judge people favorably? Because the answer is we never know people's expectations, people's insides. What does God want from us? You say that could do something that looks so bad to you. Like, maybe that was such a struggle for him that for him that's a success. Right? And we don't know the answer to that, but we do know is God wants us to be the greatest person that we can be. So our question that we're supposed to be thinking about ourselves is a very internal self-awareness type of question, and that is, well, what's the greatest Moshe Siegel could be? Because what everyone else could be in this room is really relevant to me. And everyone should have that same thought, right? Meaning, whatever I could be is all that's really relevant. And part of the process of it is, does God expect perfection? No. But perfection of self, whatever that level is for you, is the goal, but it's not the focus. What's our focus? It says in Ethics of Our Fathers, Lo alacha hamulacha ligmor, v'lo ata ben chorin lihibatam mimenu. It's not incumbent upon you. Your job is not to finish the work, but you can't not do the work just because you're not going to finish. Right? Meaning there's two sides to it. You're not expected to finish, you're not expected to be perfect, but you can't quit because of that. And the concept is we have to focus on the journey. Success is a journey, not a destination. Focus on the process, right? Meaning that's really our life. That's really our job. And we get frustrated sometimes because we want to be at, I remember Rabbi Leifter, a rabbi of mine, he used to talk with us how in America when we grew up, we're trained to be very goal-oriented. You start off, in school is very goal-oriented to get grades, and professionally goal-oriented to make a lot of money, and in all aspects of life. We're always trying to get to the next threshold, get to the next goal, get to the next goal. And because of that, we are not process-focused. And he said Judaism, and this is a struggle for so many American Jews, is that Judaism doesn't care about the end goal. All we care about is the process. Judaism is all about the process. The question is, are you working? Are you trying? Are you alive? Are you struggling? Are you trying to get to that next level? That is that's the point. So that is success, right? Success is the journey. That is success. If you're working, if you're struggling, you say, I had a hard day today, and I didn't totally ruin it. I didn't kill that guy. I only hit him. Whatever it is, right? Next time I'm not even going to hit him. Whatever that level, it's a personal question. Whatever that level is for you, right? If we can recognize that and say, good, I took a step on the journey. It wasn't just, I'm going to get to success. That was success. I had success today. I took another step of my journey. It was a real success. And we learned to not just live in a goal-oriented mindset, but to live in a here and now mindset. And that is what life's about. Then we recognize, okay, we can handle this. One day at a time. I'll be a little more godly today. Do another good act today. Do another kind deed today. Do another act of chesed today. Do another mitzvah today. Slowly, we build ourselves up until we can get to that person that we're supposed to be. So you can guess what the next question is going to be. Classic question in all theists. So there's actually a word for this, which Doug Sheena taught me. Everyone know the word, I think it's theodicy. The word theodicy means it's the philosophy of God's existence despite the existence of evil in the world. Check it out. It's a cool word. Theodicy. For all those. Theo means God. Dicy means
How do you spell it?
Theodicy. Check it out. I'll show you afterwards. Dictionary over there if you want. So the question is, why do bad things happen to good people, right? It's another twist on the existence of evil. Evil, we understand that evil exists in the world, but why does the world seem so unjust sometimes, right? Why do bad things happen to people? So a lot of people will just tell you, just deal with it. Life's not fair. Life's not fair. And the question is does that concept fit with a just and absolute God? It's just not fair. So I personally don't think so. I don't think that. I think life appears to us to be not fair, and that's why we struggle with this question. But at the end of the day, I think that belief in God warrants us to say it's not just arbitrarily not fair. There has to be a reason for the not fairness. And this is actually a fantastic question. This question was such a great question that Moses, at the pinnacle of his career as leader of the Jewish nation, he was at this unique relationship with God. And he said, you know what, right now I really feel the love of God. I'm going to ask God the question I've always wanted to ask God. And God says, okay, what do you want? And Moses says, why do bad things happen to good people? Right? This is the question, right? Moses asks God, and you know what God tells him? You can't really understand that while you're alive, but when you're dead, you'll understand it. So obviously, whatever I say now is not going to be the answer, but I could try to give a little bit of thoughts on it. And I think the concept is not a problem with God that he can't explain it. Imagine like a website trying to download the website from an infinite server, infinite data. There's infinite data coming in that's never ending. So the website will just crash, right? Meaning to properly understand why everything in the world happens and everything intertwines and fits from the beginning of time to the end of time. Now everything, you can't fit that in one human body and one human mind. It would just crash the system. So you can't handle that with one life. That's what God's telling Moses. You're not going to understand it. Not because of me, I couldn't understand it, but because you can't accept that, right? The giver can give it, the receiver can't receive that. So in order for Moses to alive, he couldn't handle that. So the question is, maybe we could at least give somewhat of like a thought to it, starting point, a little discussion of how that could be. And the basic concept, according to my understanding, is we believe in God's absolute justice, which means that if Hitler one time helped an old lady cross the street, he deserves to be rewarded for that. Because we believe in absolute justice. If you do something good, you get rewarded for it. If you do something bad, you get punished for it. He deserves a lot more punishment for all the horrible, disgusting things he did. More than that, but what about that lady he helped cross the street? Do we just forget about that? Or do we say, no, if he did something good, so he deserves something good? And there's probably nobody in the world that's ever not done anything good. Right? Probably even really, really bad people. At some point in time in their life, they probably, their mother said, get me a tissue when you got a mom a tissue, right? Like, probably at some point in time something happened, right? So the real question is, how does God give that reward? So the basic concept in Judaism is that this world is called the world of avoda, the world of work or the world of struggle. And after we die, and in the world to come, you get to the world called the world of reward. Now you could be rewarded in one of two places. You can get your reward in the world to come. That will be eternal reward that lasts forever. Or you can get rewarded in this world. So now, let's think of it like this. Let's say some horrible person did something nice. He helped a lady cross the street. So guys, I want to reward you. You don't deserve to have eternal reward. You're a horrible person. You deserve to burn forever for all the horrible, terrible things you did. So how am I going to validate? How am I going to be just? So what does God do? God says, you know what? Here, I'll give you a few $1 million. Now you got rewarded. You did a good action. You got your reward. But what? Your reward takes place in this world and is temporary. And then when you die, your reality is not based on that because you already paid back for that. As opposed to a righteous person who in this world might suffer. Why? Because they probably did something bad also. Take the opposite approach, right? At some point in time, he might have done something or said something insensitive or done something. In order for that not to affect even a little bit his position in the next world, God says, I'm going to make it hard for you right now. I'm going to give you a heart disease and give you something terrible right now. And because of that, he struggles in this world. But then when he dies and he moves on to the next world, he's in an eternal state of happiness. And why does God choose this? It's not really God who chooses it. Part of the scary part of life, but we choose it for ourselves. Where do we value our real existence? Do we value our real existence in this world? Or do we value our real existence in the next world? What?
So then you had the question,
Why do good things happen to good people? Because everything should be saved exclusively. Right, so I think the answer to that question is you have to do a lot of self-search and make sure that if you see a lot of really good things happening to you, that you're using them properly. It could be God wants to give someone $1 million because he knows he's going to be extremely charitable with it and help the world with it, and it's his role to use that in being greater. That's also a possibility. But you should at least, again, it requires the same self-introspection of, let's make sure that I'm using all of this good God's given me properly, that's not just my reward, but I'm using it to make my position in the next world even greater. Right? So what do we use it for? So yeah, for sure, good things happen to good people and bad things happen to bad people. everything's a possibility. And again, I'm not answering this as a question that's bigger than whatever I'm going to say now. I'm just giving a perspective throughout there that we don't really know. And the real world is the next world. What we see in this world, in Kabbalah, this world is called the Alma de Shikra, the false world, the fake world. And the next world called the Alma de Emes, the true world. What we see in this world and how everything is interacting, we're never going to really know everything. And that's I think a good perspective on it for now. Another question is, we don't really know what's bad or what's good. A lot of times also. Sometimes you could say, okay, they're objectively bad, by horrible things. But a lot of times in life when we say, that guy's such a good guy, why is he going through this hardship? Say an example. I consider myself, Rabbi Moshe, to be a good person. I think we're good people. We've had a lot of struggles in trying to get a center in Richardson. It's been like, it just keeps failing on it, and it's a struggle. The question is, why is it happening, right? So the question is, well, is it actually, and me and I, we talk about this all the time, is it bad or is it good? A new opportunity comes up, you're like, oh, wow, that opportunity seems amazing. Like, if you would have gotten any of those previous things, then this opportunity never would have even arrived. We don't know the answer yet. We're still in the middle of the struggle. This is real life. We don't know the answers. But the question is, do we know what's good or what's bad? A lot of time, our perspective is so small. Imagine you're looking through a little peephole into the door and you see a guy with a knife about to stab someone, and you bust open the door and you run inside of an operating room and you see a doctor about to cut open a patient and save his life, right? Meaning, it's perspective. How much are we really seeing of the bigger picture of everything there is to see, from the beginning of time till the end of time, from all of the things that we don't even remember what we've done 10 years ago to know if we deserve it or not. Remember everything we've done? Probably someone out there who remembers something really mean that maybe I did to them. I don't even know I did it. I don't even remember anymore. I hope not. I don't know. It's possible. So that's, I think, I would throw out there, but again, never going to get full clarity, but open the floor to a big question. Anyone has any comments or questions? Please.
So you're talking about rewards and punishments too. So are you saying that everything that happens in life, like every bad thing that happens to you in life, is somehow a punishment for something bad that you specifically did, and every good thing that happens to you in life is somehow a reward for something good that you did? Or is it not quite, it's not quite as simple as that?
Right, so I will tell you that Thomas says a very interesting thing. It says that if you go to your pocket because you want to take out a nickel, and you took out a quarter by mistake, it's a level of atonement because it was annoying. Right? That's Thomas' example. No, well, I mean, it fixes something wrong you did. It's that annoyance that I would call a punishment. It's not horrible, you survived and you got a nickel out afterwards, but it's something that is a bad thing that happened to you that fixes some wrong thing you did before. And that's atonement. I think that's what it is.
It's not like you were saying the opposite. It's like all the good that happens to you, or all the bad that happens to you, is because you were so good that God really wants to save all your rewards for the next one.
Something, right.
The good that's happening to you is because you were bad. And God wants to just give you the little good in this world, so you saw the bad for the next one.
Right, but I guess the question is every good thing and every bad thing a result of you doing something, or is it related to something else?
Right, so that's what I was saying.
Right, so a 10-year-old gets cancer. How bad of a thing could that 10-year-old have done to have gotten cancer? And was that cancer a punishment from God for hitting his brother, or did bad things just happen?
Right, great question. So I've just mentioned, Talmud does say that even when annoying things happen like that, there could be significance to that, but I think for sure, we're definitely oversimplifying it. There's another concept of God gave you a certain, I don't know what the word is, package, I guess, say pekala in Yiddish. Like everyone has their own pekala, right? Everyone has their own package. And it's what are you going to do with your package? So sometimes God gives it to you to see what your ability to overcome it. So you have challenges in life. And another answer that I think is true, I just don't know enough about it to really discuss, is there's a concept called reincarnation, which personally I'm not a big enough Kabbalist to know so much about. Judaism doesn't generally believe in reincarnation, and it's possible that there's something that you did in a previous lifetime that you need atonement for, and a 10-year-old can have cancer for that. I don't know so much about that. I recommend I could give you people that know more about it, but there definitely are midrashim that talk about certain scenarios that when you see it, and that's part of the perspective of God of beginning of time till end of time, when you have that bigger thing, is if you see this soul existed 200 years ago, and this soul was, did some horrible thing then he came back and he and he got killed in a horrible way. It could be for him that was actually the greatest thing ever. That allows him now to get to heaven and have eternal reward because he had that punishment when he went to heaven last time that he couldn't fix. So he had to come back, he fixed it, and now he'll go back and be perfect. But we don't have that perspective because we don't know the answer to that. It's definitely oversimplified, 100%. So there's definitely a lot of other ways to do it. And the answer is we don't know.
Maybe less Kabbalistic, but Torah says in explicit verses that God does pay back generations. For then there's a couple generations. So for goodness, we're still reaping the benefits of things that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob did thousands of years later. We're still getting rewards for certain actions they did, and the flip side, certainly, we also get punished for certain things that our ancestors have done. That's clear in the verse. Besides ourselves, coming from something else.
Right, so there's definitely always this which is part of why it's impossible for us to understand, because we'll never have that knowledge or perspective to know that. 100%.
Would it be fair to say we shouldn't assume that just because something bad happened to us, it's a result of us doing something?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you think of anything, whenever you're analyzing yourself, there's a rule in Jewish ethics that whenever you're analyzing yourself, if it's going to make you feel bad about yourself, then it's a Yetzer Hara that's telling you to think about it. If it's going to make you improve and become a better person, then it's the good inclination telling you to talk about it. Right? That's the basic rule. If you're thinking about it and it's going to bring you down and it's going to depress you, then it's not coming from a good place. Then, yeah, I agree to you. Don't think about it and come back to it some other time. If you're saying, I can't let this happen, I got to be introspective and become a better person, then there's nothing wrong with thinking about it. It really depends what you do with it. But that is a general rule. So that's the test to know whether your good inclination telling you to think about it or your bad inclination is. If it makes you be a better person, you know it's your good inclination. If it makes you depressed and become slouch and grumpy and worse off, then it's not helpful and you shouldn't be thinking about it.
Isn't that a personality trait? Because somebody can look at everything in the most negative way, and when the other person might not even think that was a big deal. Oh, I dropped my water. Oh my God, that's a big deal. Or like big deal. I don't know why.
Right. Yeah. So for sure. So each in your head, what's causing you to think about this? It's for sure an individualized question. If what's causing you to think about it is you're going to say, like they say that Arizal, great Kabbalist, used to say that every single thing that happens around you, you're seeing it for a reason because something specifically you were supposed to learn from that thing that happened to you. So if you're on that level where you're able to perceive your entire interaction with the entire world and this intimate level, then it's helpful to think about that, then great. If it's something that brings you down by thinking about it, then it doesn't help you to dwell on that. What's causing you to think about that is it's not a growthful thing to think about. It is a personal question. If for you, if you're going to dwell on that, you're going to think about that, like water, and it's just better to drop it and move on to the next thing and don't think about it. If you're going to think about, my water's full, what must be the message? I have to learn to become a more careful person. And I'm going to be really careful in the future. If it's going to pick you up, then it's a helpful thing to think about. In terms of repentance, we talk about this a lot. Like if you want to repent over something you did bad. So one of the parts of repentance is called regretting what you did. So you're supposed to regret what you did. So there's regretting in a positive way, and there's regretting in a negative way. If you think about past sins you've done, every time you think about it, you're just like, why did I do that? And just get bad. You just feel bad when you think about it. That's not part of the repentance process. That's just your evil inclination bringing you down. That's trashing you and making you feel bad about yourself. If you think about that, like, wow, I used to be like that. I could be so much better than that. I could grow from that. I regret that I did that. Then it's a growthful thing. That is the appropriate place of it in the repentance process. Okay, next question. Isn't God too busy to care about little me? Right? Does God really care? So there's two aspects to this question that I want to discuss. Aspect one is the notion of little me. I think this is where we come from with this. Everyone else, psychologists now talk about, right? A lack of self-esteem in the general public nowadays. You can talk about social media, you can talk about this, man. There's a lack of self-esteem. And especially ourselves, we have to appreciate every single person in this room has a spark of God inside of them, and that spark of God is an infinite greatness. And infinite, no matter how small you break that down, is always infinite, because it's infinite. So everyone here, there's no such thing as a little me. And I'll go back to what Rabbi Moshe said last week, and we'll just bring it a different way. God created the world with a single man and a single woman, right? They had kids. So who did their kids marry? Cain and Abel. Who did Cain and Abel marry? Anyone know? Doesn't say there were any girls around. Had they had kids? Good question. So the Medrash says that at that time, every single person that was born with a twin sister. This twin sister was who you married. And you married this twin sister and you had kids. And then they had twin sisters. Until at a certain point in time, the world was big enough and God stopped making that up. That's what the Medrash says. And the question is, why would God make a world that necessitates incest, which he explicitly prohibits in the Torah? I mean, that's the setup of the world. The only way the world will continue is by marrying your twin. So the Talmud asks this question. The Talmud says, you know why God created the world with one individual? To teach you the most important lesson. The most important lesson is that each individual is worthwhile of creating the world for. It was worth creating in a way that's less than ideal. Like, why is he marrying your twins? To teach us this lesson. There's no such thing as little me. And each one of us have endless potential inside of us. The great rabbi that said, you always have to have two notes, one in each pocket. One pocket you say, I'm dust, I'm nothing. And the other pocket you write, Bishvili Nivra'u, the world was created for me. Each person was worthwhile for the world to be created for them. And when we think about that and we say, wow, even me, because that's what God teaches us. God created one individual world because he wanted me to recognize that the world, the entire world, everything in that world, all the trees, all the animals, everything, the stars, the spaceships, everything was created for me. We're integral. Each one of us are integral to the world. Right? We'll talk about this for a long time. But we have to recognize that there's no such thing as little me, and everyone is of utmost importance. Second point to this is that we fall into a trap, we'll discuss it more in a second, of we try to look through how does God see our world, but we naturally use our perceptions and our perspectives. So what are we thinking here? We're saying, like, could God care about me? In our world, the way we see life, there's a million things going on in our life. So how do we decide what to do? We do something called prioritizing. We have to figure, this is level 1, this is level 2, this is level 3, because we're limited. And because we're limited, we can only do so much. So we can't take care of everything and rate everything equally, because we're not able to. But God, who is infinite, it doesn't detract anything from God to be dealing with someone else. Of course he cares about you. Why did he create you? Anything that exists in the world, God is intimately involved with, and he wants that item to exist. If he didn't want that item to exist, it just wouldn't be here. It doesn't cost him anything. It doesn't like, it takes more time for God to have that. It's there because he wants it there. So again, everything here, each of us are of utmost importance. And there's such thing as God being too busy. If God put you here, he wants you here because you have a tremendous role. And our takeaway from tonight is, if nothing else, is that each person in this room is great. They have a spark of infinity inside of them. And our goal is to create self-awareness, try to figure out how great can we really be, and figure out our path of getting there. Next one, moving along. Can God create the famous rock that he himself can't even pick up? Or can he give himself a cold he can't heal? Can he create a married bachelor? Right? Can God do this? So, whenever we do this, we fall into a trap. We fall into a trap. Well, you gotta always do the warning label, right? The warning label says, whenever we start talking about God, we naturally start associating God in our world. What does it mean God spoke to the Jews? God doesn't speak. He never spoke in his whole life. God doesn't even have a life. He doesn't have vocal cords or lips. We don't understand anything about God. So whenever we start discussing God, we have to always be very careful about what we say and how we refer to God. We spoke about in the first class about how God exists outside of this world. And God created the world. Right, we have a concept of Hebrew. Anyone here ever been to a house of mourning? Been to a house of mourning? So in a house of mourning, there's a special comment we say to the mourners. Say, may God comfort you amongst the other mourners of Zion and Jerusalem. And the word we use to describe God in that sentence is hamakom, the place. Nachenu also, right? Achenu. Say hamakom mirachem. We make God, call God makom. What does it mean God is makom? God is place. So the Talmud teaches us that a very cryptic statement. It says that God is the place of the world, and the world is not God's place. Again, God is the place of the world. Which means what? God exists. God is reality. That's back to class 1. Within this reality, God created a world of time and space and limitations, dimensions. He created a world. That world exists within God. God does not exist within that world. So, for example, to answer the question, is there anything God can't do? The answer is yes. God can't not be God. Right? God can't be a crocodile. God can only be God. Our fallacy is is that we view that as an imperfection. There's nothing imperfect. God created the world with certain limitations. That reality is totally and wholly dependent, wholly with W, wholly dependent on God, right? So if God is outside of this, we're going to say, could God exist only inside, limit himself being inside the world? No, God does not exist in the world exists inside of God. So if you're talking about, can God exist in time and space and dimensions, of course the answer is no. You're basically saying, can perfect be imperfect? No, God created the world imperfect, but us imperfect to develop that. Of course, that exists within the world of God. Okay, we got to keep moving along. Every one of these classes, of these questions go for hours. Let's ask the next question. If God knew Trump would win, did President Trump have a choice to run? Okay, ask the question like that. Did he have a choice? Good question. Because we're all wondering what hit him. Why did he decide to run? That was like the randomest thing in the history of politics that Donald Trump decides. I thought that was a joke in the beginning when he first says it. Did he have a choice? Maybe. I mean, God knew he was going to win, right? No one else saw that coming, but God knew he was going to win. So did he have a choice in running or not? So Maimonides writes, this question is deeper than the sea is deep, wider than the earth is wide. He didn't ask it about Trump, Maimonides, but he just says in general, trying to understand that connection between God's knowledge and our world. And I'm not going to be as wide as the earth and as deep as the sea. We'll just give a idea quickly, and again, anything that you want to discuss more afterwards, you can discuss more afterwards to try to finish up. So I'm going to rephrase the question. We're falling into the trap again, and that trap is, falling into the trap of associating our perceptions and our world with God. When we think of knowledge, it's a classic cliche phrase, right? You learn something new every day, right? Our knowledge is, by definition, linked to time. I knew something now. You all hopefully learned something tonight. That's something you didn't know yesterday. And now you're smarter because you learned more. Our knowledge is connected with time. When we were 2, we didn't know as much as when we were 3. Our knowledge develops over time. And by us, knowledge is connected to time because that's knowledge as we know. We only know knowledge connected to time. If I were to ask a question like this, phrase the same question again. If God knows what I'm going to do tomorrow, today, do I really have the choice to do it tomorrow? And the answer is, the question doesn't make any sense. God doesn't know tomorrow. God doesn't know today what you're going to do tomorrow. There's no today and tomorrow to God. He doesn't exist within these terms of today and tomorrow. That's us thinking of our knowledge base. In God's perspective, God is infinite, and God and his knowledge are the same. It's called one of the 13 principles of Yichud Hashem, is the unity of Hashem. God and his knowledge is the same. So the question is, how does knowledge exist if it's not dependent on time? It's a kind of a mind-warping question that I don't really know the answer to. But that is one of the, that's where it gets into really the question of wider than the earth is wide and deeper than the sea is deep. Because we can't even begin to understand what knowledge means like that. We can't understand what it means for God to be infinite and his knowledge to be infinite. He doesn't know today about tomorrow. He just exists outside of that whole creation he created. So free will does exist, and we have the ability to choose that. God doesn't know today anything. God doesn't exist today. So the question is really, what is it?
I was just going to ask, so doesn't that mean that when we think about even like good things, bad things that happen to us, that those can be related to different points in time? Something bad when you were 80, and that's why that thing happened to you when you were 20.
We'll never know.
But you didn't do it yet.
But he said God exists outside of time. Maybe things are interdependent.
We exist inside.
I don't know. It's an interesting question. I don't know the answer to that.
With the Shema.
What?
With the Shema.
There is a concept of right, events are more, Okay, great point. Let's just keep moving through here. A few last questions, and then we're going to call it a night, and we can continue forever discussing any of these questions. Okay, the next question of prayer. Why doesn't God always answer our prayers? Right? So you have a kid sits there praying, somebody should live or whatever it is, and you see that person in the end doesn't make it, right? So what exactly is going on here? We do have a concept of Judaism. It's called God saves everything but no chalios. There's no prayer that God, every prayer you make to God, God saves. He puts it in a special node, a special container that he saves every single prayer in. The question is, why doesn't God give us everything we pray for? We don't know that God didn't answer. The question is, why did God say no? God sometimes says yes, sometimes says no. Why do we pray? So the answer is because God wants whatever is best for us. Sometimes what's best for us is not to have what we think is best for us. Back to what we were talking about before. Knowing what is truly good and bad. Do we really know what's best for us? We always think if we just had $30 million in the bank account, a brand new Corvette, a big house, then I would be the best person in the world. Would we really be the best person in the world like that? God knows. He hasn't given it to me yet, so I guess he doesn't think I'd be better like that. Or maybe he's just waiting for me to pray more. And that's also a possibility. So the answer is, God says no. Because not everything that he's going to do, he's not going to do just because we said it. We don't control God. Prayer is not meant to control God. Since I said it's God, you have to do this. So what is prayer then? If God's going to say no sometimes, what is prayer? So prayer is really the recognition of dependency and a relationship with God. When we recognize that everything we have, God's in control of, it changes our relationship with God. When we change our relationship with God, then let's say like this, I want $1 million. What's $1 million anymore? I want $20 million. Right? Well, God says, well, I know if I give you $20 million, what you would spend it on. You wouldn't even tithe it to charity. You would just go straight for the private jet and like the private island, and you can't have that $1 million. But when I pray for it and I recognize, okay, I'm getting this from God, and I have a relationship with God, and I have a role in the world, and prayer means something, and the relationship with God means something, and then that develops you as a person in your relationship with God, then you realize, wow, if I had that $20 million, what would I do with that $20 million? I would probably go to the hospital, help Dana Richardson, and do other great stuff, right? Then God says, oh, you recognize that? Maybe then I should give you the $20 million, right? Because through the prayer, through developing that relationship, we actually change ourselves, and we have that relationship with God, which actually does allow God to give that to us, which he would not have had we not asked for it. Okay. Moving on. Why doesn't God reveal himself? Will God reveal himself in the future? When we die, will we see him? So, quick answer. Survey says, like this. Why doesn't God reveal himself? Like we said before, the greatest gift God gave us is free will. That's why we need evil in the world. If evil didn't exist, we couldn't choose. If God openly revealed himself, every time you tried pulling the gun to shoot someone, the gun wouldn't shoot. If every single time you tried whatever you were doing, right, it wouldn't work if it was bad, we would lose free will. If God was openly revealed in the world, then we couldn't have that. So the rabbi teaches the Hebrew word for nature is actually teva. And Chazal tells us that God is tavua b'teva, which means that he's drowned in teva. What teva means drowned? It means he's underneath the surface. You can't see God. My Tats has a book all about it's called The World Mask, where the whole world is like a mask. God's hiding behind this mask. Why? Because if God was openly revealed in the world, we would just all do the right thing, and it wouldn't come from our ownership. It wouldn't come from our decisions, the fan. It wouldn't come from our free choice, and therefore have no meaning to us. Therefore, God does not openly reveal himself to the world. Will he openly reveal himself at some point in time? The answer to that is yeah. But at that point in time, our ability to grow and struggle and develop won't happen. In future days, said the prophets prophesied that Mala Ha'aret De'at Hashem, the whole land will know God's name. But at that point in time, the Talmud teaches us God's going to slaughter the Yetzer Hara. No one's going to have any evil inclination anymore. It's going to be a time of just enjoying and reward. It's not going to be a time of struggle anymore. In as long as we're in this world and we're struggling, we're growing, we're trying to take ownership of our lives, God can't reveal himself. When we die, an interesting thing, the rabbis have a big distinguishing between the way a righteous person dies and between the way a wicked person dies. I forgot to do this. The way a righteous person dies is the way a righteous person dies is that the verse says, and that same thing we talked about before, Moses asked God to tell him something, and he said, if I give you the answer to this, you'll die. What does it mean he would have died? There's a certain exposure to spirituality that when the exposure is so great, it draws the soul out of the body because the soul can't fit in the body anymore. Such a high level of spirituality. This is called, in the original source of the kiss of death, it's actually, the Torah talks about it, it's called misas neshika, dying through a kiss. It said Moses saw Aaron's death atop of a mountain, and Moses desired the same death. So Rabbi teaches it's called the death of God kissing you. What does it mean, the kiss of God? It means that a kiss is always the sign of a connection, of a relationship. That's what a kiss is. So when it means God kisses you, what does that mean? It means that you're exposed to a certain relationship, a certain understanding of God that's so great that your soul just naturally like flows out towards that spirituality. It can't be constricted in your body anymore. It flows out. So when you die, it's a very interesting thing. When a righteous person dies, it's a very natural process. Actually, I don't know what we mean exactly when the question says seeing God. There's nothing really to see. It's not a physical thing, but in terms of understanding and recognition, when you die, that's exactly what happens. You have this certain greater spiritual revelation that you understand. When a wicked person dies, the soul struggles. The soul refuses to leave the body because it's based here in this world, like we said before. Therefore, it's a more complicated process, and he doesn't have that same experience. So it really depends. Last and final question, and that is extraterrestrial life. So like this. Questions as follows. Are the humans the final creation? What does Judaism say about aliens and extraterrestrials? If we were to discover intelligent life, would that affect our understanding of God? So I'll be honest, this is not a question that prior to getting this question, that I had ever really thought of, despite all of my deep meditations about God. So I researched it a little bit, but I definitely would not consider myself an expert. But I can show you a very interesting article written about it. Ari Kaplan has an article on this. Basically, what it comes down to, does extraterrestrial life exist? Seems to be like every other good Jewish concept. Machlokas. There's a debate. Some rabbis write it does, and some rabbis write it doesn't, and some rabbis write it in the middle. And the basic concept is like this, is that even if they do exist, are humans the final creation? The answer to that seems to be yes. Could you have intelligent life somewhere else? That's debatable. Dolphins are very intelligent creatures. Dogs are very intelligent creatures. Intelligence you could have in terms of knowing, understanding, having mental capacity. Is there another purpose of creation other than humans? The answer to that is no. The Torah was given one time, and it was given only to the Jews, and that fulfills the purpose of creation. That God wouldn't create something that has a purpose and never was able to know what that purpose is. It wouldn't make sense to logically do that. So that seems to be against Jewish thought, but the possibility for extraterrestrial life, I'll show you an article if you're interested in more. Definitely fast, I never even knew this before. Seems to be machlokas of early sources how to interpret certain Gemaras. Does it change anything about God? I don't think it changes anything about God. The question really is why did God create these things if they're of no purpose to us? Since we view man was the last creation in the creation of the world, and the world was created for man to bring out his greatness, if there's something that we don't even know exists, how is it helping us? What's the point of that? That would be a good question, and we have to figure out the answer to that if it does. But
For the imagination to make good movies.
what?
When would they have been created?
When?
Like during which phase of creation? Because it's a higher life form than animals.
Day 5. I don't know. I don't know. It could have been created anywhere. I have no clue when it was created. The Torah leaves out, if you go through, it's a great series on YouTube called Torah and Creation. If you go through it, it discusses over there that the Torah doesn't write anywhere where water was created. There's a lot of things in our world. The Torah doesn't delineate every single thing that was created, how it was. There's too many things in the world. The Torah tells us certain things that we're supposed to learn from, and there's a lesson for us to learn, and that's why you could fit the entire creation into 29 verses. But there's a lot that was created that the Torah doesn't discuss, even as simple as water. It tells us God separated the water, but it never says He created it. So it could have been created anywhere. I don't remember seeing anywhere when they were created, so I don't know the answer to that. But okay, that's really the end. Open the floor up for questions if anyone has any questions on anything I said, or any other questions in general, or if anyone wants to go, then this is the end of the series. And we're continuing Friday night if anyone wants to join us. One last game, the game of God. Any questions?
Thank you. It was a really good series.
Okay, well, thank you ever so much. You're welcome to stay as long as you want. Stay in schmooze. Everything is over, so fantastic. Thank you.